from
boarding
where
school
you grew up
has
or where you lived?
Yeah, boarding school has a lot of. It does have a lot of problems. It makes you either over emotional or completely unemotional.
Yeah.
It's a breeding ground for psychopaths. Really,
Right, yeah.
I mean psychopaths in the sense of somebody who doesn't care about the feelings of other people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in power who were brought up within the public school boarding school system, and this didn't happen to me, but if your parents send you away at 8 years of age, it hardens the heart towards people around you. It's hard to have empathy for anybody if you've been sent away to, a freezing cold dormitory somewhere in Wiltshire or somewhere down on the coast, and you see your parents every Easter or whatever. That's going to harden the heart, and it's going to make you care less about, even though you may decide to become Prime Minister, for example. You know what I mean? It's hard to have empathy. You know what I mean? And I've seen people like that, and I've seen a part of me go cold, and I've seen a part of me that is over emotional, because it's, you're looking after yourself in those environments.
I was going to say, do you think there's an instinctual counterbalance there, or were you consciously kind of aware of not wanting to have that feeling of being, to overcompensate with emotion rather than...
I think
there's lack of emotion.
Well, I think you can't constantly live in a state of fear. So you've got to try and find a place to cope to get to. So there is the fear of being away from home and school and living on your own way up in the wilds. That but also you've got to find a place where you're comfortable. You know what I mean? I'm sure even Brian Keenan had when he was last year Radiator, found a wee comfortable spot, a wee sweet spot just over in the corner there,
Yeah, you've got to have a preferential area
you've got to have something
in
your head that's going to, but it's only later on in hindsight you realise what effect it had on you. I remember coming home and not really wanting to be closer to everybody, but not, because life moves on. So that sort of then was potentially the seed for me to move on myself.
I mean, again, it takes the boundaries down a lot, I guess, for whether it feels for better or worse at the time. When I went to school, it was around a 90-minute journey into school each day, which at the time we hated because we had to be on the train at 6 o'clock and things like that. But in reality, it meant when I was at a social age or whatever, and socialising, I was going into London and going into other parts of Essex and travelling about rather than just having my street, my local pub. You know what I mean? It instantly had that kind of that thing of, right, there is a world outside of the one that we
and I think
were born in.
Our will is like water; it'll always find a way. You know, and for me, I came home from school. I was 16. And I had that. Me and my father, butted horns, you know what I mean? And that sort of spurred me on to leave as well. I felt like, oh God, I'm pissing this guy off, and I don't see eye to eye with him, and he's pissing me off, and I just wanted to get away in the end, and I came to London. The only reason I came to London was I had a connection in London, is what you do. If I had a connection in New York, I would have went to New York, I just happened to have a friend in London who was saying, why don't you come over here? And I'm staying in this brilliant B&B in Paddington, and the landlady will give you a chit, and you go up to the dole office and you get your dole paid for. And I did. And that next minute I was living in DHSS hostels in West London. And that was amazing. Straight into a massive cosmopolitan environment. Living in those big white, buildings in Paddington and Westbourne Grove and places like that, and it just being full of people from all over the world. And all there, some there for long periods of time, some for short periods of time, some people on the dole, some people just travelling. Mad landlord and landlady who were Hungarian refugees who had walked from Hungary to Switzerland, Maria and Joseph, who were just mad, drinking, pill popping, who had dogs, and you'd go and you'd bring your dole money to her to pay for your room. She'd come in, my dear, why don't you have a little drinky? So we'd sit down with her, and she would give you like the biggest glass of vodka and coke, and it'd be like 9 o'clock in the morning, and there goes the week, and she'd give you half a Valium, and
Amazing.
And it was like, my God, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their two dogs would be shagging in front of you in the morning while you were trying to have your breakfast, you know.
When you're thrust into experiences like that, are there any points where you think, what the fuck am I doing? Or where am I? What is this? Or do you just have to embrace that and go,
I was going,
this
wow,
is
this is brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
London's mental.
Yeah.
Of all these people, you were going out all night. You were out all night. Nobody knew me. I was going to bars and being at like these bars in London, and you were meeting all these girls and blokes from all over the world, and the bars used to close at 3 o'clock, but then you could become a member of the Walkabout Club because it was an international club for travellers. It stayed open during the day, so you could sneak into there, or you would go to these little shebeens, you know, that had geezers with, you know, sheepskin coats on and had the middle name The, you know. You know, getting into that the reason that all of a sudden the reason you come to London was to get into that sort of subterranean life.
This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction pieces. This piece of fiction is the intro to distraction. This piece of